Unemployment, top 5 failures where we can benefit from learning about other people's failure. Is this going to be comedic? Yes. Why? Because we've lost the ability to just say, you're fired. Now we're telling people 3, 2, or 4 versions of you suck, get out of my company, which is we're doing a layoff. It's just you that's getting laid off. The reason that this started to happen is being politically correct. Have you heard that hard times create great people? Great people create good times. Good times creates soft people. Soft people create hard times. Guess which portion of the cycle we're in right now? Guess which portion? It's the portion of being screwed because there are good people currently looking for work. So, name of this video, top 5 fails. Let's use comedy to solve some problems. Top 5 efforts to do what? To solve unemployment. Number 1, YouTube. Top 10. Did we just double from top 5 to top 10? We did. Why? Because we don't want to be telling people, hey, these are 5 really good reasons to hire me. Because that may not be enough. Because, yeah, you talk about having 5 reasons to hire me. I'm going to need 6. Cool, buckle in, because here are 10. Number 10, appearing too desperate. When people look for a job, it's similar to looking for a boyfriend. If you're having a hard time finding a boyfriend, you're going to seem incredibly desperate, where there are cobwebs currently brewing between your legs. What happens when we appear too desperate? Do people throw jobs at us? Do people magnetize towards us? You tell me in the comments about how desperation feels. Stella chiming in to say hi. Stella, this is going to be comedy, top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make, which is number 2, your YouTube timeline betrays you. YouTube. Can I see your YouTube account? YouTube. Your timeline shows the algorithm of what you're likely to spend time watching. Therefore, your YouTube algorithm, it shows me why you're unemployed. You are now underemployed, becoming entrepreneurial. Why? Because you clicked open this amazing video. This amazing video is going to be great. Why? Because the hook was top 5 unemployment people mistakes. The new structure is we're doing not just 5, we're doing more than 5. Number 8, the burner account. So, the reason a burner account is causing unemployed people to make a mistake is this reason. You think that a burner account allows you to be more honest. You think that the burner account makes you private. But what YouTube does is it takes your device ID and marries your device ID to other actions you when we're saying, hey, I'm between jobs right now, pretty soon I'm going to get back on my feet. When we say we're in a little bit of a lull right now, I'm sure that the economy is going to pick right up. The reason every sob story sounds the same is it leads off with nothing about what you're providing, everything about what you need, which is I have a bachelor's and a master's. What do you have it in? Oh, I don't want to tell you. Because every sob story sounds the same with cool. I heard your sob story and I commiserate and feel empathy for you. What have you done knowledge wise to get better in our field? Which is, what have you done maybe book wise? Have you written a book? Have you published articles? Have you maybe read one book? How about your YouTube playlist? Have you done research in preparation to us getting better so that way you're more likely to work? What are we doing? We're doing top 5 unemployed people's mistakes. Number 5, scandalous. Are you Chinese? Why do I care if you're Chinese? Because if you're black or white or a minority or LGBTQ, you're going to be very difficult to fire. Ideally, you'd be Chinese, so I could fire you for no cause, no reason. That's why Chinese people are super easy to hire. Why? There's no risk in firing them. And ladies, if you hire this Chinese guy, I welcome you and give you consent A to Z. Number 6, Web 12. Why is Web 12 creeping into everything? It's this fact. It's not AI that's keeping you from getting a job. It's not AI that's keeping you from getting a job. What's keeping you from getting a job is these 13 nuggets for the top 5 things that unemployed people make as a mistake. So, did I say 13? I meant 15. These are 15 things that we're doing in the top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. Larry, that makes so much sense. Thank you. Let me expand on Web 12. AI is not coming for your job. AI makes efficient people even more efficient. That's Web 12. That's us understanding we can't just say the boogie AI caused me to not get a job, or AI is such a bubble that companies aren't investing in human capital, they're just investing in AI, Asian intelligent capital. We're not trying to get 30 jobs. We're just trying to get one job. But the way people talk about why they're unemployed leans towards people thinking that they need to get 40 jobs when they really just need one crappy job because people right now are desperate and begging. When you're begging and desperate, you're willing to take a crappy job. You common sense intuitively think incorrectly, which is, oh, I see that crappy job that I wouldn't even want. I'm going to try to get that job because it's a crappy job. Who would want it? That's a similar mistake to, hey, there are 5 women over there. I'm not going to talk to the attractive one. I'm going to talk to the ugly, chubby one because she'll be less likely to reject me. And then I'll later on talk to the hot one. This is how people apply for jobs. This is comedy, but it's also tragic because you don't want to apply for the easy to get job that seems like it'd be a slam dunk for you to work at because you're overqualified. Why don't you want to apply for that job? Because that slutty job is meant to be a slut finder or a psychological operation, or in the industry, calling it a ghost posting. A ghost posting is a job that's not even real, that's just meant to weed out the suckers. Is this top 5 unemployed people mistakes? Spot on, most definitively, a ginormous mistake, which is what the top 5 mistakes coming in at number 11, number 7. Stop pitching the pitcher. When you sell yourself to a job screener, who's pitching whom? It's a mistake to pitch yourself to a person who can only say no. It's a mistake to pitch yourself to a pitcher. What are they pitching you? They're pitching you that their company is actually above water, not hemorrhaging money, and hiring because we're growing. They're selling you on the fact that they're growing. That's why they have a ghost job. That's why they have fake job listings to be like, hey, this company seems to be hiring. They have 1,400 job openings. You're now pitching a pitcher because they're just trying to sell you on the fact that their company isn't distressed. They're selling you on the fact that they're still trying to grow their business. You just pitched the pitcher, which is understandable because you're going through Indeed. It's understandable because you're going through a job listing board that is in and of itself semi-fraudulent, kind of fake, pretty much like med spa lips, where you get injections for puffing up, smoothing out wrinkles. So there's fraud in that. That's number 4. Stop pitching the pitcher. What are we doing? We're going over top 5 unemployed people's mistakes. Let's go. Triumvirate, 3-way. The triumvirate of 1, unemployed, 2, IC, individual contributor, 3, 1099. Why is it triumvirate? It's you being 3 entities simultaneously. You're a 1099 employee if you've done a little bit of independent contracting work. IC, independent contributor, where you're a contract employee, you're not getting hired. Unemployed is full boat 0, where there's no relationship, there's no contract, there's no arm's length contract, there's no nothing. You're dead weight at an arm's length distance. The reason that triumvirate is a hilarious mistake that people make is you want full medical benefits. You want a full overpayment of salary. But what you're not seeing are the components of the triumvirate, which is 1099. If you were a really good candidate to be hired or a 1099 independent contractor, if you were really good and the company were to really value you as a 1099 employee, this is what the company tries to do. They try to hire you, but what do you say if you're a really good 1099 employee? You say no because you're being 1099 by one, two, or four other companies. Let me go over triumvirate, which is number 3. Triumvirate mistake, triumvirate line of thinking, triumvirate, your 3 legal components. 1, you're unemployed or underemployed. 2, individual contributor. That's where Google hires you, but they want to keep their headcount low, so then they call you a contractor. Contractors are second-class employees, and they're called ICs, independent contractors. You look and walk and talk like an employee, you just don't get on a stock vesting schedule. You just don't have all the benefits of being a full-blown employee with full employee benefits. You're working at the company, but you're outside. That's IC. 1099 is where you are an independent contractor. The reason that you aspire initially from unemployment to be a 1099 employee is this. You're getting paid quarter time or part time at the low end of the 1099 employee scale. So initially, when you're unemployed or underemployed, you're quarter employed. And do you see how now I'm helping you go from unemployed, individual contributor, 1099 to full employee? Because most people are either 0 job or 1 job, but they get stuck at 0 job. And when you're stuck at 0 job, you're demoralized, you're not feeling momentum, you're not even seeing a goal. And I'm giving you a goal, which is 1/8 employed as a 1099 employee. 1099 employee, air quotes, 1099 independent contractor. So when you're 1/8, 1/4 employed, you're screwed. But it's better than a big fat 0. When you're at a big fat 0, you're at 0 with 0 hope. At 1/8 of a 1099, which is a 1099, you're actually super close to having 4 jobs. Let me go over the math, because triumvirate is number 3. We're talking about the top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. Here's a mistake, not triumvirate, is you're thinking there are 2 states of employment: 0 job, 1.0 job, which is 1.000 job. Your friend who became a self-employed hustler, they had 2 or 3 side hustles, which then morphed into 1 job taking over all of your income, aka a YouTube content creator, aka a Twitch streamer, aka a DoorDash delivery driver who jumped over and then started that one company that delivers drugs. I can't remember who it is. Favor. So you're thinking incorrectly as an unemployed person. I'm going to go from no job to 1.0 job. We're looking at going from zero job today to quarter employed, quarter employed, core employed. Do we just make up a new American word? Yeah, because the job market, it sucks. So we're trying to get a 1099 for 1/4 of our money revenue from having one job. This is the triumvirate, which is 1099, individual contributor, unemployed. The reason that once we get 1/8 or 1/4 of a job as a 1099 employee, what's right around the corner from that condition is 2.0 jobs, where now the employer is asking us actively, are you willing to come on board with us full time for less money? They don't say the for less money part. They just say, hey, you're super valuable. Do you mind coming on full time? And then we say, no. Why? It's like when that girl asks you, hey, we've been banging 4 or 5 times a week, but definitely 3 times a week. Should we be monogamous? And then you're like, I don't know. Because you're dipping your wick into 2 other situationships. Therefore, let's do the math. If you're with one girl Monday, Friday, Sunday, and you're with another girl Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and sometimes on Monday, because you double dip, do you want to sign an agreement where you're now in a monogamous employment relationship, giving up other opportunity, not to mention being able to go out on Friday and Saturday night to go troll for more jobs? Number 2, timing. Cheating on your job with another job. This is a mistake that unemployed people make, which is you're not cheating on your job with a job. You're staying home, smoking out and playing video games, having nothing to do with your job. So, number 2, timing, cheating on your job with a job. You're not cheating on your job with a job. You're on vacation in a permanent staycation. And so when a girl comes over and sees marijuana, bongs, more bongs, marijuana, and then 2 flat screen TVs set up to play video games, she's going to be like, oh my God, you're a gamer? I'm a gamer too. Let's go. Right? Or she's going to say, wait a minute, you're definitely single because you seem so well put together. You work at 2 companies with offices 3 blocks away. And when I come over to your place, you've got Dungeons and Dragons going in a room. You've got chess with multiple games, which I don't even know what's going on. And you've got video gaming. Do you see how that person has a lot of balls in the hopper? That person has that person has cheating on your job with another job energy. That person has, you know, you should start another company. Why? Hey, Larry, you seem like you're okay smart. I need to get your opinion on something. So, hanging out with this girl. She's super cool and she's a go getter, got a great family. She's awesome. I got another choice that I got to make because it's coming up on the holidays. This girl, she's she's really she's I love her. She's an artist. She's just I mean, she sings, she's like in flow, she's a free spirit. Larry, I need to I need to pick one because it's coming up on the holidays and shit's about to get crazy. Right? Larry, what do I do? Here's the answer. Here's the answer. You want to get more. You want to do more, which is which job do you pick? The job in sales or the job in technology? What do you do? Well, the answer is you do both. That's two timing work, not relationship advice. That's two timing your employment options so that way you don't make the mistake of top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. Hey, you guys have been listening for a long time. What thoughts do you have on on what have you heard that you're most impacted by? Number 1 most popular mistake that unemployed people make. What's your knowledge economy book? Which is like this pinned message, which is get into a good trade. Here's a problem. Plumbing. Hey, I hear plumbers make 80 bucks an hour. I hear plumbers make 115 bucks an hour. Should I get into plumbing? This is nearly always the issue. Correct me if you're wrong, which is what's your knowledge economy? Because when you say trade, you're hoping that we're magically going to get employed because someone's going to want to pay us a ginormous chunk of solving a person's plumbing problems, where the problem with trades, people aren't getting enough deals. The problem with companies is that there are not enough new deals. The problem with AI is that there's not a person bringing in new deals. So I ask you, which is number 1 most popular mistake to make as an unemployed person, what's your knowledge economy article published at? Because the way that unemployed people use LinkedIn is like the way that involuntarily celibate people are using a dating app. Let me repeat that. The way that unemployed people use LinkedIn is the same way that an involuntary celibate person uses dating apps. Because I again ask you a 5th time, what's your knowledge economy book published to? Because if you're not publishing as if you are your branded business, you're going to stall out. Why? Because this is a mistake that people make when they're unemployed, is that they want their social media to not get them fired. They want their social media to not keep them from getting a job. So when you Google or you search people's socials, they're delving into 5 aliases. This video is amazing. This is a ginormous problem. So let's say you're thinking about hiring Pookie, which is Paul Fleming, but he's going by Pookie, or his friends call him Pookie, or you say Paul, and they're like, oh, I guess that's me. Why? Because they're trying to use a brand new name, because they're rebranding a new name to see if that name is going to be the name that helps them be no longer employed. How spot on is this video? Because when we don't publish and we have a brand new name that we're trying to brand, you give people who are going to hire you the heebie-jeebies. I was going to say ick, but I didn't want to redo that meme, which is everything you do, you give me the ick. That's why we're doing the top 5 things that unemployed people do as a mistake. Number 11. Number 10. It is a ginormous mistake to just give up. And the giving up is the hoping to go magically via one connection, going 0 job to 1.0 job. Number 11 of the top 5 mistakes that people make when they're unemployed, stand-up comedy, number 11. Too much macro, not enough micro. A person's trying to get 1/4, 1/8 of one job. So if you're trying to get maximum 3 jobs, let's be honest, you don't want 3 jobs. You just want one good job. If you're trying to get 1.0 job, why are you talking and acting like a macroeconomic economist? Oh, feels like the Fed's not going to lower rates, pushing a cold front of hiring, which is going to freeze up my employment hopes. You sound like a macroeconomist, where I can't even sound like a macroeconomist, even though I am a macroeconomic expert. What we don't want to do is focus on the ginormous picture, not even the big picture. I'm talking about solving your unemployment with microeconomics, small things that are actionable. Plus, macroeconomics, all of it's just a shitty theory. Macroeconomics causes you to be paralyzed. It causes you to not forward deploy, to personally do. That's what macro versus micro is, and that's a ginormous mistake. Do things that are small and succinct. Think to yourself, how do I go from 0 job to halfway working, which is a 1099 economy of a 1099, which is 1099 individual contributor or fully unemployed. Number 12, back on your feet. There's language that shows a person is more likely to go bankrupt or impossible to bankrupt. When you say words like, oh, I'm hoping to get back on my feet, what you're saying is, I'm trying to throw a Hail Mary and apply for jobs like a regular loser. When you sound like this, people, even if they want to give you a job, they're going to be hesitant because people who are in deep doo-doo and deep debt, they're going to be more likely to set their own house on fire. People that are desperate and in dire straits, they make for horrible employees. Why? Because it's not just desperation that makes people bad. It's 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 not a toxic employee. It's this. You want to give a job to a person who's going to be a happy, good, and positive employee. The opposite of that is not positive, not good, not what you want to end up hiring. That's when I hear the words, I just need a job to get back on my feet. Number 13, this is a nugget, a ginormously amazing, good nugget. This is the entire value of the top 5 tips, coming in at number 13. Good job focusing. And this also helps us be better at business, which is unemployment. Top 5 mistake: not treating getting a job as if it is a job. If you're unemployed and basically super busy because you're now on vacation, where some of the busiest women that I talk to have no job. Let me repeat that. Some of the females who are busy, super busy, they're unemployed. Getting a job is a job. This is bullet pointing this is bullet pointing how to do that. Work from home while unemployed is not a good idea. Working from home while you have a job, if you've got that discipline, can be amazing. Working from home in your 13th year of working a slam dunk job is possible because you're slam dunking your job and you can duck out of a 90-minute commute one way. But if you're not working, getting a job should be your job. This is the structure of it. Monday morning, ass early, let's put it at 5:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. You're going to leave the home to work from a pseudo office. When you work from home as an unemployed person, when do you start working on Monday? By looking at getting a job is a job, you now don't work from home 3 days a week, where you pack up all your stuff, you do Sunday night planning, bullet point knowledge nugget number 4, where you're getting a job is a job. Sunday, you're going to plan. These are the people that are very interested who might be imminently hiring me. Maybe you'll have 0, maybe you'll have a half of 1. Below that are people that are pretty interested. You've just done maybe 2 interviews. Below that are people that are telephone interview only. So you're building a prospect funnel for, hey, I need to try to get one job. These are the people that are most likely to do it. And then at the bottom are 300 prospects. So on Sundays, I'll even be your unemployment buddy, where I'm your not boss, but your cohort in becoming no longer underemployed. And then on Sundays, you email me, hey, this is my weekly plan. Monday, first thing early. Why? Because when most people try to get a job, it's like they go to the restaurant during lunchtime and they're like, hey, are you hiring in your restaurant? Like, do you not know how work works? Because the way that work works is 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, all the pikers come in, meaning laziest people who don't really even want to work. If you feel like you might be a piker, that's a mistake. So the person who's going to say no, they start working at 9 o'clock, they leave at 4:30. If you start working on Monday at 5:30, your telephone calls will not be screened. Why? Because you'll be making phone calls when the C-level executives are going to be there. If you're calling people before 9 a.m., that's an employee that I'm going to want to have on my radar, because most people make zero phone calls. They're just trying to be a NPC using the computer to do computer shit that nobody needs or could be replicated by a computer. Number 13, getting a job is a job. Number 13, do you have a pulse? Are you a real person trying to get a job starting Monday morning at 8:30? Then you pick 2 other days. I would definitely pick Friday and then maybe Thursday. So on Monday, Thursday, and Friday, you now have a structure for your office hours. And you would need to find a place that's somewhat quiet, that is going to be where you hole up and office out of. Number 14, just over broke. What you're doing by trying to get a job is, now that you no longer have a job, you're broker than just over broke. So when you're broker than just over broke, you really want to just be getting to broke, which is entrepreneurial, independent, E-employee. This is right out of Robert Kiyosaki. E-employee, I, individual, S, small business, B, big business, EISB. So those are the stages of what you're trying to do, where you may not think you want to work at a business that you start, but now everybody is a businessman. Everybody's a business person. We are forced to be a business. We're forced to be a business. We're forced to be a business. Number 5, top 5 mistakes. Number 15, the economy is dying. When people say that, I say, even during full-blown communism, if one slice of bread is in exchange for a hand job, there's still an economy. Here's another thing about the economy dying, is it's 2 economies. It's rich people economy, poor people economy. What happens when the interest rate drops? Poor people get screwed or unscrewed, it's anti-gravity, so I'm going to have to check back with you. But what I do know is that rich people keep getting richer. Why? Because it's socialism at the top. It is natural for us to say the economy is stupid or it's all bullshit or I'm upset because the rules of the game are not fair. What is not a mistake, because those are mistakes, is this counterintuitive truth, which is find a rich person and help them get richer. Most people go broke on purpose. They just do it to see their downfalls. I've been there. Deep, philosophical and deep. Let's keep going with the top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. Number 16 was spot on because I just said it, which is we're living in an economy that is a best of times, worst of times. So when we counterintuitively cheer for rich people to get richer, now we're able to listen for rich person problems. Because who's hiring us? A person who's making 10x what we make. And if they're not making 10x what we make, we're asking the wrong person for a job. Top 5 mistakes, ginormous mistake. You never want to ask a poor person working at the company for a job making 5 times what they're going to make. People do it all the time. Let me go over the math real quick. If you're trying to get a $200K per year job, don't talk to the receptionist making $30K a year part-time, okay? Don't do it. Why? Because they're working at that job not for the money. They're working at that job to leave the house and pee on your parade. Are you going to get your parade peed on? A lot of people do. Giving up has 650 levels. Ginormous mistake to give up. In fact, so many people have given up that it's actually much easier now to get a job. Kind of like the way that most dudes who are 28 to 32 years old, they've actually no longer tried to have sex. This is just like in Japan, where nobody's fucking. The entire country is a no-bang zone. And then American people used to laugh. Now it's going on in America. How hilarious is this video? Which is 650 levels of giving up. Number 18. Ooh, top 5 things unemployed people make as mistakes. Number 18, holiday season, second job. My holiday season job was at a department store in Chicago. This second job, which was a seasonal job, was a job where I ended up spending more money than I made. Why? Because I'm at a department store. The holiday party, the holiday season second job. The reason it's a mistake to discount the holidays is the holidays makes networking slightly easier. Are you going to co-host, co-promote a Christmas party even though you're kind of feeling down? Or Are you going to, or are you going to view co-promoting a holiday party as if it's your part-time job? Why? This year, I'm not getting the inclination that December 6, November 30, December -3, which is November 30, are going to be loaded up with Christmas parties. December 5, Friday, December 12, Friday. When companies don't host Christmas parties because of the optics, this is an opportunity. This is top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. They sit around and they wait. They hope that the economy gets better while they not while they just don't self-start. Oh, but Larry, excuse after excuse after excuse, I don't want to host a Christmas party. I'm not even Christian. Or worse, I love Jesus and I love being a Christian. I'm just too lazy because I don't want to have this video turn into 3 job offers because I wish I would have been unemployed. I wish I would have been employed 2 years ago because you've been unemployed for going on 3 years. This is comedy, kids, which is holiday season, second job. Your second job this holiday season is a first job, which is an unofficial Christmas party for your trade association, an unofficial Christmas party for AI, an unofficial Christmas party for the 12 days of OpenAI, because that last year was a mistake, which was the 12 days of OpenAI. Maybe it was because a Jewish person, Sam Altman, was hosting a Christmas themed work event. Maybe it was because day one was already messed up. I don't know what the reason is for those shortcomings, but the opportunity here is for you to solve a problem. Top 5 mistakes. Number 18, B, which is when you get a working job, when you get a job offer, you're solving a problem that they clearly have. If you're not entrepreneurial or entrepreneurial in trying to hunt for problems, solve problems, you're going to be less likely to be employed. That's us looking at entrepreneurship within the lens of entrepreneurship, within the lens of what is going on this holiday season. Are we going to be unemployed during Christmas and New Year's? No, we're not, because we have this video, top 5 mistakes that people make when they're unemployed. K-shaped rate cuts, macroeconomics, the difficulty of us existing in a K-shaped economy, which is one type of economy for rich people, another type of economy for you poor people, which is the K, which is the economy is going in one direction, then it forks, where it forks for one direction going up and the other direction going down. That's the K. Soft times create unemployed people. I wish that weren't true. It massively is. J, I went ahead and used letters because I didn't want to say number 21 of the top 5 ways that unemployed people make mistakes. But let's be honest, this is number 21. Just a virgin. What does virginity have to do with employment? We're not talking about a vagina virgin or a sex virgin or even a my hymen is intact virgin. I'm talking about a business virgin that doesn't focus on you get paid Y dollars to solve a business problem that is X dollars. Business virginity is where you don't want to talk about the X and the Y. Business virginity is where you don't want to bring money because it's a taboo topic. I've heard that before. Oh, I don't want to talk about money. It's a taboo topic. We're working in business. Like, how can you not talk about, oh, I get it. You're a business virgin. Number 22, top 5 things of unemployed people mistakes. Going to networking conferences unemployed. When you go to networking conferences unemployed, you're not missing a ginormous opportunity because that's obvious. What you're not doing is you're not even trying, which is this recommended level instead. So, not that you want to fake it till you make it, because that's also not correct. You want to have something that is where your company describes exactly what you do. So before it was the trade show, trade school, which is, oh, learn a trade, plumbing. So you're going to a plumbing conference hoping for a plumbing job, which is this as your company. So you'd be Larry Chang or insert your name. And your plumbing business would be plunger DIY plumbing mistakes solved, where the DIY plumber makes mistakes and then now you're solving those DIY mistakes. So instead of going with no rhyme, no reason, no initial thesis, what you're doing is you're networking by getting in later and getting out earlier, where you're not just coming to the party saying, hire me, I'm unemployed. You're taking a crack at somebody else's X problem. Top 5 things, top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. Number 23, which is becoming and being too introspective. When you talk to an unemployed person, it's not just me. It's too introspective, too in your head, too business virgin, too selfish. When the selfishness is too over the top, that's how they're going to be at the company. Where why don't we talk about problems to solve? Because if you're not solving any problems, the job offer's not going to get made. Top 5 mistakes of unemployed people, number 24. Here's a ginormous mistake. I would put this even at number 1, which is, can you not even throw a Hail Mary for 9 thank you cards? What is a Hail Mary? A Hail Mary is, oh, yo, I'm unemployed. Give me a job? What? Like, we didn't even start talking yet, and you're saying, I'm unemployed. What you do instead of that Hail Mary is you get a job by going to purchase for $9 9 thank you cards. What are you doing with these 9 thank you cards? Jedi business work, jujitsu, like pure magic. What's the magic that we're going to do? It is this: using thank you cards where your attitude of gratitude now, well, I like that attitude of gratitude, where now you're in flow because you're not sending an email that says thank you. Why? Because when when you text or email a thank you, it's not good. I mean, it's okay, but it doesn't really feel like a thank you card, which is why number 24 of the top 5 things that we can do that we used to be unemployed, having gratitude. Oh, 26 is delicious. And that is this: what happens when you live off of EBT or food stamps or a socialist system? You're thinking, I don't get enough unemployment benefit. I don't get enough free food stamps. I don't get enough. I don't get enough. When you have that attitude of, I don't get enough, that is a ginormous mistake, which is why number 25 is food stamps, tithing food, which is the government gave you $1,800 a month. Can you donate some of that food to somebody more needy? Where most people, the way they say thank you or the way they show gratitude is they say, can I have more? Yeah, that's not the way to do it. That is financial advice. Top 5 things that unemployed people do as a mistake: edit. They fail to make something better. Can your part time job of 4 hours per month make something better? Pick up trash in a park, pick up dog doo doo at the office near where you want to work, eat lunch where you pack a lunch near the office where you want to work, as one of the 3 days that you're working from home, not working from home, where you're working from where you want to work. Edit. Can you make the parking lot of where you want to work better? Why are you doing these things? You're doing it because you're going to be a Larry Chang like psychopath where you make stuff better and people get curious about who you are because you're not just going to be a selfish, I want a job, I have no idea how to get off of zero mentality. Number 27, top 5 things an unemployed people mistake, which is helping you, the unemployed person, do distribution. Hey, what are you doing besides ranting on YouTube Live? It's reaching out to homeless, unemployed people such as yourself to buy a third home or a fifth company. How? By doing distribution for a company where you may not get rewarded. You might think, oh, that's criminal for me to not do it. But what I think is this: top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. Can you promote and distribute someone else's dog park? Can you promote and distribute somebody else's brand new app that nobody wants to download? Can you promote Larry Chang's YouTube channel where you're saying, hey, this video is amazing because I went from a unhinged spammer. I went from worst to first. You went from worst to first. There you go. There you go. And what you're showing is one of the top 5 things that unemployed people mistake, which is which is which is seeing that complicated words, aka accusations, are illnesses or shortcomings that you see in other people that don't exist, now exist where? Between your ears, because you intimately know problems that are not there. That's top 5 mistakes of unemployed people: distributing water bottles, taking a thing that you may not get a sales commission on, taking a thing that you may not benefit on, such as Toy Story 5, your brain's hurting because your smartphone gave you unlimited power. It gave you unlimited power to, to jump into a room that has no moderation. And so that's where you get to do what? You get to talk unlimited. And by you talking unlimited, what then you do is you reveal who you are because you can say unlimited things. That's why having a burner account was point number 14, which is where you thinking that you have a burner account lets you say unlimited things when the fact, which is true, which is this: you're unemployed because your device ID has a identification number, and everything you say ends up being more permanent. And I love and adore you. I forgive you, but let's come back better because we're doing top 5 things that unemployed people do and not do, which is perfect for you. Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn. Why is Reid Hoffman perfect for you? Perfect for you. Which is Epstein Island violations. See, when you're on Epstein Island mentally, you get stuck with childhood trauma. That's Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn, not allegedly, not allegedly. When you're using LinkedIn as delegating distribution of job offers to a website, it's similar to you delegating to YouTube your YouTube practice, which is, what have you gotten better at today? What have you put your energy towards? Have you unlocked the child trauma portion of your brain to say, hey, this guy has got some really, really, really good, inexpensive content that's pushing on $0. Why am I trying to unlearn it? Why am I trying to continue to be self-destructive? And the reason for that is clear. Top 5 things that unemployed people do, say, and are mistakes. Number 28. It's an incredibly specific one, and that is competition is for losers. You see, when you're unemployed and you're in competition with other unemployed people, you get stuck in a doom loop of negativity. For example, the comments here. For example, a brain that gets stuck into a doom loop, because that's what competition is for losers talks about, which is you thinking that you're getting demoralized because you're seeing a job description that exists for a ghost job that is not real. Instead, seek after a monopoly, which is what? Wait, you can have a monopoly in getting a job? Oh, yeah, this is how. When you apply for a job and you are in competition in a highly competitive field of thousands of people applying for one job, instead of doing that, why don't you apply for a job that does not exist until they make that job for you? You write the RFP. You hunt for X dollars in value. You ask, with the X dollars in value, can I have Y%? D, can I talk with your VP of product, your CPO, your chief of staff for this thesis that I have for your company? Is it true that this problem costs you X dollars? The way that everybody applies for a job is tell me what to do. Tell me the problem that you have. Me, 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 me. Whereas a value added employee who you want to recruit is a 1099 assassin where they're literally killing it. Why? One, they're able to learn on the job, outside of the job. Two, they're a walking encyclopedia with books and citations for a particular job focus. Before, when I was talking about the product management, you're quoting Dan Olson's book, chapter, and verse. What you're doing, which is incredibly street smart, is this. You're doing chapter 11 of Dan Olson's book, Product Management. When they ask you, hey, how much would you like to get paid? You state, I would like to get paid $300K per month. Oh my God, that's so much money. Cool. I have plenty of work already, not desperate. I went ahead and laid out a PowerPoint presentation for you as per chapter 11 and chapter 7 of Dan Olson's book, or hire Dan Olson for $800K a month. What? What? Who talks like that? It's a person that knows what they're talking about, because you don't need to pay you to be unemployed. They can just read what you published. That's moving from unemployed to expert to 1099 to you no longer being unemployed by Christmas. Are these things incredibly street smart? Yes, because this is point number within the construct of top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. This is point number 31, which is us not being street smart while we're unemployed. In what part have I lied? Because everything is free and awesome. Number 29, 30, and 31 coming out of the chute. Let's go. We're not street smart enough. That's definitely the top 5 things that unemployed people mistake. Being street smart is savviness in the fact that you're temporarily without a job. What's one technique to get job offers thrown at you? That would be this. A clear website, not just social media, not look me up on LinkedIn. It's this is my website. Contact me if you'd like further expansion on these topics. Not these topics, I'm talking about whatever topics that you have in the area that you want to work in as what you want to do when you're going from 0 jobs to 1 jobs. Where people that are not to be hired, dangerous to hire, are LinkedIn whores. That's like saying at a restaurant or at a dance or at a country music festival, yeah, hey, I want to take you out sometime. Cool. Why don't you go ahead and download Bumble and then I'll see you on the dating app. What? Let's just exchange phone numbers like a regular human. Oh, no. Let's use Instagram. So what you're doing is, it's like you're cock blocking yourself, but you're cock blocking money. Let me go into top 5 mistakes that we make as unemployed people, which is being street dumb by saying, hit me up on Instagram. What? No. This is my full email address. What is going on is people are disconnecting from other people. Look at people coming up with super negative shit, such as eyes looked away, heart rate speeding up. What? With a fake call you made up? This isn't a telephone call. This is a LinkedIn Live. So, hairline dummy receding. So the reason I do these chats without moderation is people show you who they are when you give them ultimate power. Top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. Before you even work here, people get a sense for how much value is going to be transferred. Top 5 mistakes, your resume. You're so focused on making your resume readable, where you can literally draw a panda picture with ears for I'm practicing listening, eyes for I look cute, pause with, hey, I'm trying to practice art. Oh, a puppy. Where the box of donuts. What's street smart, Larry, about a box of donuts? Is the box of donuts accompanies your resume. What are you talking about? Larry, you've seen the text messages, right? What in the world? I love unmoderation. no moderation. Why is no moderation good? Because I'm not going to get distracted from box of donuts, resume. Box of donuts. Nobody cares about my chemical engineering background as it pertains to plant management. Okay? Nobody cares about that. What they care about is, can you bring 2 donuts Monday morning at 4 a.m.? Why? Because third shift always gets screwed on donuts. Third shift meaning the graveyard shift, basically 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Because most people that are salespeople bring donuts at 9, 10, 11 a.m. When you bring donuts at 11 a.m., people are eating lunch because they've been at work since 7 a.m. So, why are donuts good for a resume? Because I'm going to post your negative messages. Do you know why? Because it's energy, and I appreciate you for the energy. So when you pass donuts to a resume receiver, is your resume going to be looked at slightly more scrutinized? Right? Or instead of talking about sexuality, instead of talking about sexuality, maybe focus on the content. And instead of focusing on being jealous of attention, and if you're jealous of a single digit number of people paying attention, you're not jealous of the attention, you're jealous of the content and the adoration, because thank you for coming to this stream with a broken heart and brokenness. Let's try to turn you around. Let's focus on top 5 things that unemployed people mistake, which is, your heart doesn't need to continue to be broken because you currently suck and spam a lot. I forgive you. Let's get better. Let's get better. Let's get better. Let's get better. Let's get better, which is Twitter. Oh. So, I'm going to guess that you have political views. Maybe they're Republican, maybe they're retarded, maybe they're Republican and retarded. Not wanting to work for a particular person because they have a particular Democrat affiliation or Republican affiliation, we do not have the luxury of what? Of being political and being judgmental. Why? Because money's money. Why? Because in polite company, we shouldn't even be talking about politics. But you're political, and it's intrinsically a mistake that unemployed people make, which is thinking that a bruise came from a punch, or playing baseball where a baseball took a bad hop. But we're not going to talk about misfortune. We're going to talk about how we're going to fail forward. We're addressing this topic, top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make, where we could talk about uh, my sexuality, but what is more important isn't me trying to get you canceled or blocking you from watching a new video. Top 5 mistakes that people make when they're unemployed. If you're begging for a job, why are you even asking about politics or sexual orientation? I can't even make up the fact that that's not the right thing to do, because that's obviously not the right thing to do. But if you're going to do that from a YouTube, you're intrinsically going to have it unearthed. Why? Because every time you get a chance to talk, you're not focused on the X. What is the X? The X is the value of this video. What is the X? The X is what's going to help you no longer be unemployed, which is your biological entity attached to your brain solving a problem for an employer. Top 5 mistakes is wanting to be curious about politics because I'm just trying to get to know you. What? What? No, 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 no. Okay. No, absolutely not. You cannot afford to have political views when you're trying to interview the person interviewing you, right? Some of these things that should go without saying need to be said over and over because it's top 5 mistakes. This actually I've seen kind of a lot, which is I don't want to use LinkedIn because it's run by a person who likes to go to Jeffrey Epstein's island. I don't want to use LinkedIn. That actually is genius. That actually is genius because that's genius. What is similarly street smart is this. When you use Bluesky, you're identifying the fact that you're right there, right next to a DEI hire because you're on Bluesky. Instead, post 50 micro blog posts to Twitter, X. Oh, but Larry, I don't agree with the 3 laws of thermodynamics and the person who owns X. You, for a 11th time or a third time for top 5 things that people mistake when they're unemployed, you can't afford to avoid your smartphone because you think it's a political statement against neurodivergent pansexual people who got their land misappropriated. Why? Because iPhones use silicon glass, blah, blah, blah. Okay. You, you use the base technologies without saying, oh, I want to be a communist when it comes to how I do my job search. So I'm not going to use WordPress. Or I feel like the person who invented file transfer protocol didn't get a fair shake. So therefore, I'm going to not send email. Like, that just sounds dumb. This is top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. We're both doing comedy and doling out 100.0% accurate things. Billie Eilish forever says hi. Darn it. When you put a person in timeout, it actually deletes messages. Oh, there's some solid gold in there too. Oh, some positive messages. I'll post the positive messages too. I kind of thrive on negativity. Can you tell? I really like the negativity. Why? Because I'm rich, I'm bored, and I kind of like the game on hard mode. Street Smart, The Starter Wife. There's this book, it's called The Starter Wife. And because that book is an interesting title, I'm going to use that title to bridge into the starter job. It is so incredibly street smart as a unemployed person to do 3 legendary internships before becoming fully employed. Oh, but Larry, I'm too proud to get an internship. Trust me, no one's even going to know that you got your great job because of 2 internships in sequence. That's the starter wife, is you're trying to do a starter job where you're thinking you're going to be loud and proud continuing to get your 3rd DEI job. And when I say DEI, did I just put white people in the DEI category? Oh yeah, because they really wanted to hire that Chinese guy. They just already had 2 jobs. So you're the 3rd best alternative. BATNA, which is best alternative to a negotiated theoretical arrangement, a BATNA. Why do you want to hire a Chinese person, not comedy? Because I can fire a Chinese person. I don't even need to talk to HR. Get the fudge out. But if I'm gonna fire a African American female that's LGBTQ, I'm gonna need 15 attorneys, and it's gonna be difficult. So let me get this straight. The person you wanna hire is the person that you can easily fire? Yeah. So, street smarts. It's incredibly street smart to realize that hiring a Chinese heterosexual, they're the best. Why? Because they've been getting screwed, and now them working at your company is going to be the best thing ever because you're just going to literally get out of their way, and they keep on saying, where's the X? Where's the X? Where's the X? What value am I doing? Are you happy with what I'm doing? 3 legendary internships in a row. Number 33, top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make. Just because you're 25 to 35 and don't have a job does not mean that you can't use internships as a mechanism for wedging yourself in. Oh, but this makes me angry because you put me in timeout because I was self lighting myself on fire. Sartaj says, nice hairstyle. Larry, you're fetching coffee and grabbing the lunches. I have no idea what you're talking about. That's not an intern. That's a slave. You're talking Hollywood. I would watch your butt, because the two people that I kicked out of the room, they kept on wanting to talk about homosexual offers. I don't consent to homo spam unless it's about LGBTQ going from worst to first, which is reverse DEI. Oh my God, this script is amazing. I literally wrote down reverse DEI. Why? Because I currently run the LGBTQ TT community in the same way that I turned around the Silicon Valley gay mafia. Why? Because Silicon Valley gay mafia asking a simple question. Hey, do you think violating a person who's under 22 years old, which is how you started, is a good idea to perpetuate that cycle? 25 to 35, 35 to 45, is that too old to get an internship, Larry? I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. There's a movie, it's called The 70-Year-Old Intern. I think Robert De Niro played it. Maybe he was an 80-year-old intern. It doesn't matter. The reason an internship works is because there's this thing I'm going to sell you, cost $0, which is how to get 3. Welcome back from your timeout. Welcome back from your timeout. Welcome back from your timeout. Welcome back. 3 legendary internships in a row. Good job. You now have 39 things that are the top 5 things that unemployed people make as mistakes. Why don't you tell me what 9 of the top 5 mistakes that unemployed people make in an email, and you will go from underemployed, underpaid to 600K. Did we just use Web 12?